So in today's video, I discuss why video marketing could be your solution if you're facing challenges with Apple's new iOS 14.5 app tracking transparency policy when running paid social advertising on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or other social platforms affected by this change. Let's take it to the next level. Hi everyone, I'm Carl. Welcome to Next Level Video Marketing, a channel where you get the latest strategies and tips to help you achieve your business and marketing goals through video. Now remember, if this is your first time on this channel and you want to get the latest strategies to maximize the impact of your marketing videos, hit the subscription button below, hit the little notification bell so you don't miss anything. So there's been a lot of talk about Apple's iOS 14.5 update, specifically the app tracking transparency, which allows users to opt out of any app that is tracking their personal data. And there's been significant concern from digital advertisers and businesses and how their ads will be impacted from platforms that collect personal data, specifically Facebook and Instagram. So for a quick overview, any iPhone user that updates to this new iOS and future iPhone users who have this feature built in can now opt out of any app that wants to track their personal data. In fact, the default setting once you update is that no app can track your data unless you turn it on. Then you can select on an app-by-app basis which ones you want to track your personal data and which ones you don't. And there's a reason why Facebook fought this tooth and nail, because they knew a lot of people would opt out, which would impact their bottom line from advertising. And they weren't mistaken, because some of the early numbers show that only between 5 to 13% of users that have updated to iOS 14.5 are actually opting in to allow apps to collect and track their data. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of smart people at Facebook that can find ways or even have found ways to circumvent this, but there is Apple's app policy where if your app is in their app store, you have to abide by the rules and regulations. And if they find out that you have been collecting data, even though users have opted out, they run the major risk of violating that policy and could get kicked out of the app store. And remember, this isn't just isolated to Facebook and Facebook platforms like Instagram. This also affects other social platforms like LinkedIn, TikTok, Snapchat, or other places where they collect user data that lead to more personalized ads. And by no means am I the expert in all the technical details of the new iOS 14.5 update, but I'll leave a couple of articles in the description to help you understand a little bit more about the issues and the challenges that advertisers face, but also the opportunities. So before we continue, I just want to go over some of the caveats to this new update. The first one is it only affects Apple users. So if you're an Android user, which I think is around 35-40% of the market share in North America, you probably won't see any difference. Now, if you are an Apple user, it will only affect you if you update to 14.5. But the bigger thing is that any future iPhones will definitely have this feature baked in. So whether you update today, next month, or get an iPhone within the next year or 2 years or 3 years, this feature will be baked in. And the second point is, while users are on Facebook's platforms, those activities on the platforms could still be tracked. So whether you're engaging with posts like likes, shares, or comments, or watching videos, advertisers and Facebook can still track what you're doing on the platform. So I think the real challenge for advertisers, which we'll talk about in depth in a second, is when you're trying to get users off Facebook into your platforms and get them to convert, whether download content, turning them into leads, or buying products or services. Let's just go over some of the impacts, both from a personal level and a business and advertiser level. So from a personal impact, what you'll probably see if you do decide to opt out, a lot of the content and ads that originally were more personalized will be more diverse. So for example, let's say you visited a website that sells shoes and then you go back into Instagram or Facebook, you've probably seen ads for those shoes or pages that you visited. If you do decide to opt out, you may not even see those ads anymore, or even if you've bought, you may see the exact same ad for the exact same shoes, because now Facebook can't really track where you've gone and the journey you've gone or the conversion off platform on somebody else's website. Furthermore, you'll probably see a range of ads and a range of content that may not have anything to do with you. And from a personal level, that may not be a bad thing, because what we've seen and some of the dangers of Facebook or Instagram or some of the social platforms is it's starting to become a little bit of an echo chamber where you're only seeing the content that you agree with. And maybe it'd be, for me personally, it's nice to see a diverse set of content where I'm exposed a little bit to different either trains of thoughts or even different products that I might have not seen before, rather than just content that I'm personally interested in. Let's talk about the impacts to advertisers. Now, this list could change and grow just because we're such early days of the impacts of iOS 14.5, but I just want to touch on some of the highlights. So the first one is less people opting in means less data collected, which means less targeted information collected. That includes things like gender, age range, job title, and so on that the advertisers could look at and glean and maybe make ads more personalized. Remarketing will also take a hit, especially off-platform visits. So for example, let's say you target people with ads who have visited your website. It's going to be much more difficult to do that. There'll also be impacts to measurements. It's harder to see attribution. There's a significant change from 28-day attribution to 7-day attribution. So you can't see past that 7 days if people have seen your ad and actually converted. And speaking of conversion, it's going to be much harder to see the conversion path because Facebook only gives you 8 conversion events. So for example, let's say you're an e-commerce store and you sell anywhere between 8 to 12 products. Before 14.5, you can track the conversion journey. So people land on your website, then they go to the product page, then they check out, then they go to the thank you page. That's, let's say, 4 conversion events. Well, now with only 8 conversion events, you can see that with 8 to 12 or even more products, it's going to be very hard for you to pick which 8 conversion events. Most people will pick the purchase conversion event, and you won't be able to see all the other steps before that. But not all is lost, because you can still track on-platform activities, things like people who engage with posts, people who like, comment, share on the posts. And this is where video comes in, because you can track how many people actually watched a video to a certain point, whether it's 25%, 50, 75%, or all the way through. But I believe this is a great opportunity, because if you think about it, what are people's intent when they go on social platforms? TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, they want to stay on that platform. They don't necessarily want to be taken off, have to do something, whether it's download an ebook or buy something and then go back on to the platform. And those platforms want you to stay on that platform. So the opportunity is, and it's a bit of a mindset change, is instead of trying to take people off platform to consume content, why don't you keep them on the platform? Why don't you keep your advertisings, your videos concise and to the point, so the people can consume all the information that's required of them in that specific ad or video, enough that, even though they won't convert right there, you'll be top of mind. And I go over more of this in my create demand versus capture demand strategy, which you can view here and in the description below. And that leads me obviously to why video could be a potential solution to iOS 14.5, because if you think about the intent of people watching a video, let's say past 50 to 75%, it signals a much more higher intent or higher interest than someone just simply liking, commenting, or sharing a post. And while you may not be able to retarget anyone who's visited your website, you can definitely retarget anybody who has, say, viewed over 50% or over 75% of the video. And if you think about it, people who watch over 50 or 75% are showing great interest in, your product, your service, or whatever your video is about. From there, you can create custom audiences, lookalike audiences that you would have previously created from, people who visited your website or off-platform activities. Now you can keep them on platform. You keep the social platform happy because you're keeping people on platform. Now you're probably saying, well, it's going to be much harder for me to create video content. But I would actually challenge that and say there's a lot more tools available to you. Now I've created a video on showing you how to actually create a video just using your phone, which you can see here in the description below. And it's a really simple way if you wanted to create simple talking heads or even product demonstrations. If you don't have a budget to hire a videographer or a video production agency, you can do it yourself. And all you need is a phone and a couple very inexpensive products, and you're on your way. And if you have a bit more resources, you can start using programs like Video Husky, where you can get assigned a video editor and just create content and have that group edit for you. Now, again, we're still in the early days of 14.5, but I think there's a lot of opportunities for marketers, especially where over the past decade, we've been at the mercy or making it so easy for us to just use simple lookalike audiences or custom audiences from people who've, visited our website or, engaged off platform. But I think it's an opportunity for us to really become creative with our advertising again. And remember, iOS 14.5 is just the tip of the iceberg, nor is it the first to restrict user data collection. Mozilla Firefox and Apple Safari browsers have already enabled features that allow users to block any cookies from tracking them and preventing advertisers and businesses from tracking them across websites. And Google Chrome is coming up with the exact same thing later on this year. So if you want to learn one of the best marketing strategies today, both B2B and B2C, one where you're not at the mercy of iOS 14.5, one where it allows you to be more creative, one that keeps you top of mind when customers are ready to buy, you got to check out this video here, and you got to check out this playlist here if you want to learn more about creating a video marketing strategy if you want to go that route. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next episode.